Double, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron bubble. Eye of newt and toe of frog, wool of bat and tongue of dog, adder's fork and blind worm's sting, lizard's leg and owlet's wing, for a charm of powerful trouble, like a hell broth boil and bubble. Yeah, I'm sure we've all heard these words from Macbeth dozens of times. I mean, come on, that's brilliant. It's very creepy. And the setting for this scene, a creepy cave, chef's kiss. I bet if you ask the random person on the street to say the first thing that comes to their mind when they hear the word witch, this is what they'll say. Or they'll bring up Witch Hazel from the Bugs Bunny cartoons. Side note, she's my fave, with her little giggle and her hairpins flying everywhere. Witchcraft is synonymous with spells. Everything from Harry Potter to Hocus Pocus exists because of the stereotyped image of a woman in a pointed hat muttering into a cauldron full of eyeballs and frogs. But what is spellwork? If you're new to the craft, you may be surprised at the answer. Hi, my name is Carol Chia. I'm a former Southern Baptist, and I'm finding my way back to the practices of my ancestors, following the path that's rooted in my DNA. On this podcast, I'll share the history of the folk magic of the region and share my practice as I learn and grow in knowledge. We'll talk to people from all walks of life who follow different paths of spirituality, looking for the commonalities and the way we're more alike than different. So if you're searching for a way to connect to spirit, pick up your walking stick and let's get to exploring. I'm not going to lie. When I first started research into witchcraft, I thought I'd just be learning how to cast spells. I mean, if you look at social media, that seems to be the focus. As I've continued to learn, though, I've realized that spellwork isn't necessarily the center of witchcraft, or at least the commercialized idea of spellwork. Being a witch is more of a mindset than anything. It's about finding connections. You may connect with deities, spirit guides, or ancestors. You may find a deep connection to one of the elements or to the earth itself. How you find connection is what makes your practice unique. But however you find connection, at some point, you're going to want to try your hand at spellwork. And hey, I'm all for it. Chant, craft, burn candles, all of it. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Spellwork can be done with no tools, no specific formula. Spellwork can be as simple as a thought. My practice is a combination of things I've learned from my Appalachian ancestry, books I've read, and a little intuition. So let's dive into the history of spellwork, where it came from, how different cultures use it, and how it's evolved into the modern era. When you think of witchcraft, I bet you don't think about Mesopotamia, but you should. What we think of as spellwork probably originated there. The ancient Mesopotamians performed magical rituals to protect them from evil spirits, and they believed the only way to protect against demons and ghosts was through magic. There was no distinction between magic and science. If someone was ill, doctors recited magical incantations along with medicinal treatments. They used incantation bowls to capture demons by placing them under thresholds, courtyards, and in the corner of homes of the recently passed. Egypt practiced magic that centered on the power of words to bring things into being. We see this in the Old Testament when Moses goes toe-to-toe with the Pharaoh's magicians. Amulets were worn for protection. The Book of the Dead included hundreds of spells and incantations. We also see magic used in Jewish history in the form of golems. The modern word magic originated in ancient Greece, where it took on a negative connotation, linked with charlatans who used unconventional ritual practices. A large number of magical scrolls have been recovered and translated, including how to gain power to command spirits and symbols or sigils to aid in invoking those spirits. By the time of the Middle Ages, Christianity had taken hold and continued to fuel the negativity surrounding magic, associating all magic with demonic activity. This continued to spread across Europe, leading to the persecution of witches we all know today. But through it all, witchcraft continued. In my own ancestry, the pre-Christian Celts were deeply connected to the natural world and worshipped many gods who controlled the elements. Rituals were tied to the changing of the seasons, and herbalism played a critical role. This was as practical as it was mystical, since herbs were used as medicine. The Druids were the keepers of knowledge and the spiritual guides of the region. This secretive practice focused on the mysterious energies of the universe, herbal healing, and connecting with the spirits that exist in nature. Celtic paganism is animistic in nature, believing that all of the natural world contains spirits. The ancient Celts revered trees, such as the oak, the blackthorn, and the spindle. Shrines were erected in ancient groves and near bodies of water, and offerings were left to pay tribute to the spirits who resided there. To the ancient Celts, the earth was full of spirits, both helpful and evil. Feast days such as Beltane, Samhain, Lunasa, and Imbolc originated with these ancient peoples and led to the modern development of the Wheel of the Year. Even as Christianity marched its way across the green hills of the British Isles, veneration of their gods continued, even though the names were changed. Brigid, the goddess of fertility, health, and springs, and for whom Imbolc is celebrated, was transformed into Saint Brigid, the patron saint of Ireland. But for those of us who are daughters of Brigid, we know who she really is. Modern magic is a mixed bag. Social media, podcasts like this one, and books cover a plethora of modern practices, and there are so many variations that everyone can find their niche. I don't have enough knowledge to get into every possible kind of magic. So, for today's Witchcraft Dictionary, I'm going to share with you how I use Spellwork. You may be surprised at just how simple it can be. My roots are in Appalachia, so that's how I focus my spellwork. Appalachian folk magic is a practical one. It's used to heal, protect, and deepen my connection to the earth. If I'm performing spell work at my altar, candles are always involved, so let's go over some basic candle spells. A lot of practitioners use different colored candles depending on the spells they're casting. I don't. A basic white candle can be used for any spell. I usually buy my candles from the Dollar Tree. Tea candles are great for candle magic as well. Remember, you don't have to break the bank to be a witch. Use what you have. To deepen your connection to the earth, go take a walk. Simple, I know, but my whole practice is simple. While you're walking, gather items that catch your eye. Acorns, leaves, sticks, rocks, anything that speaks to you. Place these on your altar. Next, I'll dress a candle. To begin, I'll take a taper candle, carve the words earth and connect into it, and then I'll dress it with olive oil and various herbs. The herbs really vary depending on how I'm feeling at the time. I usually gravitate towards cinnamon, rosemary, and basil, but feel free to use herbs that you feel connected to. This is a spell to deepen your connection to the earth, so any herb will work. As you're rubbing the herb-infused oil into your candle, set your intention. Feel the earth connect with you as you prepare your candle. Let your mind wander and picture rolling hills, streams, and forests. Imagine the smell of the outdoors. Perform your grounding and cleanse your space, and then light your candle, meditating on your connection with the earth. If you can, allow the candle to burn completely in a fire-safe vessel. If you need to leave your space before the candle can burn down, make sure to snuff it out. This simple spell can be used for just about anything. Change the wording on the candle and it becomes a protection spell, a love spell, or a prosperity spell. Keeping it simple means you can accomplish a lot with a little. One spell that I find very helpful is a negative energy banishing spell. My great-grandmother did this, even though she didn't call it magic or witchcraft. It's just the way her people did things. To start, you'll need a plate, tray, or any type of flat surface. Place the plate in a central location where it won't be disturbed, and place a candle in the middle. Gather small rocks from your property and place them around the candle. Next, make a salt ring around the rocks, forming a circle. Light the candle and focus on the flame, directing any negative energy there. And then allow the candle to burn down. Once the candle is extinguished, open your windows and use the broom to sweep the negative energy away. Bury the rocks and salt in an area away from your home if possible. But if it's not, don't worry. Just place everything in a bag, tie it up, and throw it away. I have protection sachets in every room of my home, and they contain herbs, stones, and leaves that came from my property. These serve as a visible way to remind me that my ancestors are always protecting me. Appalachian folk magic concentrates on healing. My ancestors depending on healing salves and tinctures that they made using what they had. Doctors were few and far between, so herbs and incantations were depended upon to take care of my people. This remedy for sore throats was a staple in my childhood. Take a pot, boil 2 cups of water, a little ginger root, half a lemon, and a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. As you add each ingredient to the water, call it by name to add to your intention. Ginger for soothing my throat, lemon to boost my immune system, apple cider vinegar to get rid of toxins. Strain the mixture into a cup and add honey for calming and soothing. Now, my mama would have added a little whiskey too, just for good measure, but she added whiskey to everything. Magic can also be added to your meal prep. Remember that intention is the basis for all magic, so use your intention as you cook. With each ingredient you use, infuse it with your magic. Stirring counterclockwise banishes energy, so if you're making a soup for a stuffy nose or a cold, stirring counterclockwise will help you get rid of those germs. Clockwise stirring calls in energy, so remember this if you're feeling fatigued. A tea made from holy basil and lavender can help soothe a troubled mind. You can also make a sachet with these and soak in a hot bath. However you choose to use it, remember to speak with intention what you want to accomplish. You can also make sachets to carry with you that will banish negative energy and bring good fortune. Place dried peppermint, sage, and cinnamon in a small bag and carry it with you. You can use an envelope or a Ziploc bag if you don't have a fabric sachet handy, or you can cut a small square of fabric and tie the bundle with twine. When my mama would get upset at someone for having a nasty personality, she would make a jar to sweeten them up. Sometimes that consisted of giving the person a jar for homemade jelly. But if that didn't work, she'd go a little deeper. She would write the person's name on a slip of paper, place it in a jar, and top it with honey or sugar, whatever she had on hand. She'd close it up and place it on a high shelf. I've seen her place a person's name under a candy dish. Her intention was where the power was, not the ingredients. I grew up with folks who would make an X in the air if a black cat crossed their path, or would never walk under ladders and would throw spilled salt over their shoulders. They planted according to the moon phases and knew when to harvest by using the same. All of that is magic, even if it is practical. An important thing to remember is that meditation is spell work. Intention is spell work. Actions are spell work. Spell work doesn't start and stop at your altar. That's organized religion, and there's nothing organized about magic. Magic is wild. It's free from the constraints of man-made worship. There are tons of resources online for different incantations, but remember that the power doesn't reside in the incantation itself. It resides in your intention. The most powerful magic is the magic that comes from your desires. No amount of memorized prose or poetry will ever be as powerful as words spoken from your heart. And that's what makes magic so wonderful. Your practice is uniquely your own. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's. There is no wrong or right. You are free to develop your own spells and rituals, writing them in your own personal spell book to revisit when you need them. If you are beginning your journey, especially if you grew up in an organized religion, you may find pre-written spells to be helpful. But as you grow, you may find that you don't need them anymore. Magic will transition from what you do to who you are, and that should be your goal. Magic gives us the permission to be our authentic selves, to take power back from those who think they own us. It connects us to our past, to the vast universe, and to the earth itself. Magic is spellwork, but workings are born out of our thoughts. And that's why the witch will always exist. The wild nature of the mind is something that can't be conquered, can't be written down and formed into chapters. There's a reason that we don't have much written documentation of ancient pagan practices. They didn't believe it was necessary. It's part of our core beings, dormant until we tap into it. Once you allow your spirit to speak to you, you'll find that you instinctively know what to do. Once you begin connecting with your guides and ancestors, they'll show you how to develop your practice. You just need faith to allow them to. Thank you so much for joining me on Solitary Magic. Next time, we're going to do something a bit different. A very close friend of mine is going to join me to talk about past life regression. I have absolutely no experience with this, so I'll be learning right along with you. And when this friend and I start talking, we may have a hard time stopping, so be prepared for a long episode. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, reach out, either through my socials or by email. This is a space for growth, so share with us how you practice. I've also added a subscription option on my TikTok. Each week I'll do a subscriber-only meditation and chat session. We can learn new things from each other, maybe work some spells, and grow a community of support. So if that's something you'd be interested in, I'll add the link to my TikTok in the description, or you can find me at Carol_SolitaryMagic. I feel a stirring among us, those of us who are looking for a deeper connection to the world around us, those who want to grow and deepen their spirituality, and those who want to see change. So join me on this journey. It's going to be magical. So until next time, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your fields. Until we meet again, may the goddess hold you in the hollow of her hand.